But obviously you've done, obvious to me because I know about it, but yeah, you've done lots of work with Red Bull and produced some really incredible stunts, like the skydiving through London Bridge, Tower Bridge.
Tower Bridge.
Sorry, yeah, sound American there for a moment. So incredible stuff, but that's very physical. I mean, what they tend to do is something that's a very physical kind of activation that obviously involves technology, but from that perspective, do you feel those kind of activations from your experience are kind of the most impactful from what you're seeing? Obviously, you're working on them. You're kind of doing the hard work, but obviously you're seeing what impact they've had afterwards.
Absolutely. Well, at Red Bull are experts, I think, in marketing, and when they're working on these sort of projects, it's always going to be pretty impactful, and they do different events for different reasons. A project like the Wings Through Tower Bridge, where we flew two skydivers in wingsuits, you may have seen it on YouTube, through Tower Bridge, and the whole thing lasted about 30 seconds, and obviously it took years of planning, and we tried to do it 5 times and couldn't because of various different reasons. And the amount of you talk about technology, the amount of technology that's involved in that from the actual athlete operation is extraordinary, and also from the capturing of the content, which is ultimately why they do these things. How many millions of views can they get on YouTube and so on? And I think what's been really interesting working with Red Bull across different projects is that they can spend a fortune on technology to capture that content, drones and mobile cameras and a lot of people and a lot of different positions, and which obviously captures high resolution, high value content. But then you compare that to another project that they did where they just used their local team who used their iPhones, and they came down and they posted straight onto TikTok, and it was rough and ready, and their reaction from that was actually greater than an extraordinary feat of flying someone with a parachute, but without releasing it, 3,000 feet down through a bridge, and then that content actually didn't capture as many engagements as something more sort of raw. And I think that's really interesting because maybe it's a generational thing.
Yeah. Is that an authenticity thing? Because obviously, in a sense, it's kind of, Red Bull has become synonymous with, action sport and racing, motor racing and everything else. But it's kind of, they're creating a vibrancy. So whether it's super sheen, high production, or it's rough and ready, it's all about the activity. It's all about the physicality.
I think it's all about being relatable to the audience, and that's changed. I mean, they used to organise raves, which were assumed to be illegal raves because raves were really popular then, but they weren't obviously illegal. They were very well planned. There were licenses. It was all set up. So I think it's about appeasing to the current audience, and that sort of raw capture, that moment on an iPhone is what people are expecting to see and is quite exciting, whereas that sort of flawless production is, I suppose it's sort of less relatable.